What is going on, everybody? We're doing another GB Studio tutorial showing you how to create a save and load system for your Game Boy game. My name is Brandon Peterson, and this is a Code Peterson tutorial. Let's go ahead and begin. So this is a project I'd used for a previous demonstration, developing a loot system. And basically we start our game. We have a little house here where we can go trick-or-treating and we get some candy, and I thought this would be the simplest way to show how you can create a load and save game option or functionality with that. I've added a start screen, and basically on this start screen here, I have my actor hidden. So it's kind of like a little title screen, even though there's no text on there right now. In here, I began with a display menu where we are going with a local variable, and it's got two options. And the first option asks load saved game. And if we select that, it's going to set our local variable value to 1. And we have another option, start new game. And that is where we will set that local variable to 2. I have these two unchecked, so nothing happens if B is pressed or if a second option is there. That's our two options when we start the game. Now, if I scroll down here a little bit more, I used if, so like comparing a variable to value option in there. And then I chose my local 0 because that's what we have up here tied to our menu. And if local variable 0 is equal to 1, in other words, I want to load the saved game, then in here, I searched for game data saved. And one of the options for that is if game data is saved. So you have different slots you can use for yours. For mine, for this demonstration, I just used one to make the demo a little shorter. But if you have questions with those, just leave them in the comments or shoot me a message online. I'll be happy to get back to you and help you figure that out. So in here, if we have some data saved in our slot 1, then we're going to say load game data from memory from slot 1. And we are going to go to our scene where we have our file saved. Now, I don't believe you have to have that in there. I think you can remove that part. It'll remember your location. But just for mine, I have it there just as kind of a double check on there for me. All right, now else, so let's say I want to load a game, but I don't have anything in that save state. Then I am just going back to the original start of the game up here, and basically you're starting a new game. So that's kind of my catch-all right there, just to prevent any errors or anything goofy like that happening in there. I could put in a text in there that says, no save data detected, starting a new game. I could do that also as another possibility to let the gamer know that there was nothing saved in there. All right, now what happens here if my local is not equal to 1? In other words, what happens if I go to start new game? Then I start at my house level where the game starts. So kind of look around with that. You can pause that and get your game to match up with that. But that works pretty good for what I was trying to do with this, trying to make the easiest way to get into the game and yet give you some options there to kind of fit whatever you're trying to do with your Game Boy game. So we'll go in here and that's how we start our game. Now here, basically, since my last demonstration, I have a little trigger here. When I move there, it takes me down here. When I go into this trigger, it moves me back up here. So I'm using this pumpkin as a save state. So if I go down here, and as you can see, if I select the pumpkin and I look over here and it says on hit with player, well, then I can do another one of these menus. So local 0, again, it can be local because I don't need to worry about the menu option on my title screen. Local 0, and it's going to have two options, and one of them is save, and the other one is don't save, and I have both of these unchecked again. So if it's equal to 1, in other words, if I selected save, Then over here, I'm going to save slot 1, and I'm going to save that information, game data save. And then else, I really don't need to worry about it. In fact, I could go up here and I could go disable else. Or if I wanted to, I could have put a text block in there saying you chose not to save. So it's, with some of these, it's not a bad idea to use text messages here. If I was saving this, I could at the end put a text in there saying your data is saved. You could do that a couple of different ways, and I might get more into that on another tutorial down the road. But for right now, you can kind of see where we're going with this here. Let's go ahead and start this game and see how it works. All right, so here it says load save game, start a new game. All right, so if I go here to start a new game, here I am at the house level. And if I press return, if you remember back when we started this tutorial a long time ago on that demonstration, still on the channel if you want to check it out, you can see we have no loot in there. So if I go up here and I talk to this witch, you've received candy, check your inventory. So I'll go down here. Now I have a Reese's. Right, let's go up here again. Steve Candy, check your inventory. All right, so I have an M&M and I have a Reese's. Now if I go down here to the bottom and I go and I check out this pumpkin here and I go to save, I'm going to activate that. All right, and now just to double check, we see we have an M&M and a Reese's. I'm going to close out of this, and then I'm going to re-enter our game here, load and save game. I'm going to select load saved game, and you'll see we showed up down there by the pumpkin. And we have our items in there saved. I'll go up here again, and we have 1 M&M and 2 Reese's. Let's go down here and save again. And we will close out. Run the game again. We want to load, and we'll press return, and it saved that information. Okay, if I close out one last time here, go back to the game and run it again. And this time I want to start a new game. Press return, and now you can see our values are all back to 0. So it's really actually pretty easy to incorporate. I think actually the hardest part would have to be setting up your menu system and kind of planning that out in your head. But other than that, the actual loading and saving is a lot easier than I would have imagined. And now you can start making some larger Game Boy games that have bigger areas to explore, and you don't have to worry about it being finished in one setting. Now you can give players the option to save their progress and load later. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll hopefully catch you on our next video.